Hey, so here is how I sketch. Unfortunately, a lot of the footage got lost, so I just had to import the quick speed paint. My apologies, but this is just giving you an idea of my process. So what I first do is I lay out a really rough sketch with all the guidelines. I don't zoom up, so I only focus on the big details of things, and that looks terrible. But yeah, basically I just kind of set up the idea of what the drawing's gonna be, and then afterwards I adjust the size of the canvas and everything else. So one important thing that I find when sketching is, of course, the first stage of sketching, because I do a couple sketches. The first one is when you zoom out. You don't focus on all the small details, so you could really focus on the big picture. And I find that it's much easier to kind of move things along that way. Yeah. Anyways. So what I decided to do next was I decided to move on to my clean sketch, because a lot of people, I used to do this too, where I had my messy sketch filled with all the baselines, which is what I did in the very beginning. And then my next sketch is the slightly more detailed one, where I will zoom up, and then I do my line art. But instead, after a while of practice, I figured that I only need one sketch. Then afterwards, I then put my line art over it, which my line art is quite sketchy anyway, so it's more like I just color my second sketch. So I usually start off with the eyes, because I feel like, honestly, this is just a personal thing, but I feel like if I'm not satisfied with how the eyes look a part of a drawing, then I won't be satisfied with it at all. So I usually just focus on the more important things that will either make or break the drawing, which is the face. Because if one of my drawings has really nice hair, but like a really ugly face, then I will not move on with it. But if it's vice versa, has a really nice face but ugly hair, then I will commit more time into it and fix up the hair and stuff. So I was kind of going along with the hair. I was kind of coming up with it along the way, since I decided I wanted bangs afterwards. Bangs. Never mind. So I also try not to zoom up too much for this phase, because I try not to add much detail in my sketch, since I find that it's a bit of a waste of time. And a lot of people said that, oh, I draw really fast because making a full illustration in 2 hours or 5 hours is a lot to some people, because a lot of people take around 10 hours, which is completely understandable. I used to take 10 hours too, but what I do now is I zoom up a lot less. I only zoom up if I have like trouble getting my fat finger in there, or if like my pen tip doesn't work or something. But I try not to zoom in too much, since I feel like it really does waste a lot of time focusing on such small details that you don't notice unless you zoom up. And I'm drawing a full illustration. I'm not drawing something so that you can zoom up on it and see all the little details, because most people aren't going to do that. They see it from a distance. Also, since I post on social media, I'm a freelance artist, not a fine artist. Fine artists can take like 2 years of not creating anything or working on a piece, and their name will still be in the community, I guess. But for us freelance artists and people on the internet, we know people's memory is terrible. It's really awful. It's worse than a goldfish. So what we have to do is we have to upload every single week. So if I take 10 hours to make an illustration, that won't really do my time so well. On top of that, I'm an intermediate artist, not a professional, meaning everything that I do isn't like godly, but it's like pretty okay. So that's why I have to continue to keep a presence. Anyways, my brother just ran over here, so I thought he was going to interrupt me, but he didn't. So carrying on, I decided to do the flowers on a separate layer. I always find it a little bit helpful to sketch certain things on different layers if you're experimenting with it. I personally never really drew flowers before, which is why I find it better to do it on a different layer so that it doesn't overlay on top of the character, which the character I definitely wouldn't want to erase, but I may or may not want to erase the flowers in the future. So that's why I found it useful to do it on a different layer, because then I could always erase that part that I don't want. So, yep, that's basically my entire process for sketching. Thank you so much for watching this short tutorial and walkthrough of my process. Thank you, and if you liked the video, then you could comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much, and see ya.